Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. I'm Wisemimir. Let's get on with it. Trial time. Hello, Cuthbert. Oh, hi, Miss Tamora. You're a lot less jumpy than you were yesterday. I'm glad to see that you're finally getting used to things. So, what did you find in your investigation? Hmm. There aren't a lot of clues to point to what actually happened. Yeah, I know. A lot of details about the crime scene. I know a lot of details about the crime scene, but nothing about the crime itself. This means I'll have to rely solely on pointing out contradictions in the witnesses' testimonies. Being reactive to the prosecution's moves is a valid strategy. Honestly, I think it was a miracle that you got the commander to cooperate with you at all. Right, you almost forgot. Commander White appears to really have it out for Miss Tamora. Actually, I wanted to ask you about that. Did something happen between you and Commander White? Miss Mickley, please proceed to the courtroom with your counsel. Let's go, Tyrion. The trial's about to start. You should go. The judge is waiting. Right. A large secret is left buried between you two. The court is now resumed for the trial of Celeste McCoy. Let us review the proceedings from yesterday. Yesterday, the defense presented some shocking oversights made during the investigation. Yes, I personally saw to it that the investigation was conducted properly this time. I see. I suppose that puts my mind at ease. At yesterday's trial, we found an inconsistency between the crime scene photo and the autopsy report. Because of this, the defense tried to push the following narrative: that a third party must have interfered with the crime scene to frame the defendant. However, the prosecution has discovered another explanation. Because of that, the individual who discovered the body would like to testify as to what he saw that night. His eyewitness account will clear up what actually happened. Interesting. It was my understanding that the individual in question wanted to remain anonymous. Supposedly, this witness was within the gallery of the trial yesterday. After yesterday's proceedings, he felt that he couldn't stay silent any longer. So that's her plan. But why would the witness change his mind like that? Did Steel Wind persuade him? Or is something else happening here? Very well. Let's hear from the witness. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. My name is Reese Reginald Rudolph. I am a chauffeur of the equine variety. I'm terribly sorry, but I'm unfamiliar with that profession. He means is to say that he's a carriage driver. Oh, I see. But in any case, it is my understanding that you found the body. Am I correct, Mr. Rudolph? Rudolph appears to be writing something in a notebook. He writes with incredible speed. His pen only touches the paper for maybe a second before he's filled an entire page. Mr. Rudolph. Forgive me. I was merely taking notes on the people in this room. Taking notes. The witness has a certain compulsion to keep a record of every event that he witnesses. I see. Then I assume we will receive an accurate testimony of how you found the body. Actually, I witnessed much more than that. I saw the crime as it was being committed, and I wrote down everything that I saw. What? That is quite the claim. If that's true, why did you choose to remain silent until now? We had initially concluded that the evidence alone was decisive enough. Therefore, we saw no need at the time for his testimony. However, those circumstances clearly changed. During yesterday's trial, there is no way the prosecution wouldn't leverage eyewitness testimony from the start. Something else has to be happening here. Very well, Mr. Rudolph. Please testify to the court about what you saw that night. I was transporting a client in my carriage that evening. We were driving by the McCoy Tavern when we heard a disturbance. This occurred at 1:28 a.m. Worried that something was amiss, I walked into the establishment to see what the commotion was. There I saw the defendant. She was lit by the blue glow of the dining room lights. She had stabbed Flintheart McCoy and was channeling magic into her sword. She removed her sword from Flintheart's chest, and as he slowly turned to face her, she stabbed him again right in the front. She soon realized that I had witnessed her heinous crime. She let the body fall to the ground and fled the scene. Incredible. Or at least it would be if it weren't entirely BS. If everything occurred as the witness described, then I see no room for debate. Of course, the evidence has always been irrefutable. You don't remember seeing him when you left to look for Celeste. But it was pretty dark. Celeste, did you see this man that night? No, this is my first time meeting him. And I didn't see him when I ran out of the tavern that night. So he has to be lying. Does that mean he's the one who killed my lad? Nope. It's hard to say now, but that's definitely a possibility. The defense may now begin their cross-examination. Okay, so transporting a client, that much is true. Well, the identity of your passenger is irrelevant. The witness is the one who actually observed the crime as it occurred. If there was another person at the scene, they might also have crucial testimony. The passenger is under no obligation to testify before the court, and the current witness's account of events is more than adequate. I agree. I see no reason for Mr. Rudolph to disclose the identity of their client. The defense must present a more valid reason to do so. Okay. Press this. I'm assuming this disturbance was the argument between my client and her father. Yes, I heard two voices, one young female and one gruff male. Presumably, these were the voices of Celeste and Flintheart McCoy. Right, that matches up with what the neighbors heard, too. What did you do after hearing this disturbance, Mr. Rudolph? Worried that something was amiss, I walked into the establishment to see what the commotion was about. You stopped your carriage in the middle of a job. That seems pretty abnormal for a carriage driver. What did your passenger think of this? He had no quarrel with it. What kind of passenger would be okay with stopping mid-drive? The passenger's thoughts on the matter are irrelevant to his testimony, unless you have any hard evidence to prove otherwise. Now, please tell us what you saw in the establishment. I'm sorry. Right, he's certain. But, he is making this up, so... Yeah, this would have been broken at time.
Objection!
Mr. Rudolph, you testified that you saw my client murdering the victim. And you supposedly saw her casting magic while doing so. Yet, yes, I could never forget such a grisly sight, and this is where we came in. That moment was burned into my memory. I see, well, it's funny you say that. How so? Because your entire testimony was a complete lie. Well, what? Are you accusing the witness of perjury? Surely you know that such accusations can't be made lightly, Mr. Cuthbert. My accusation is far from baseless, Prosecutor Steelwood. Take a look at this report. The dining room lights are artificial devices that are powered by an arcane power cell. However, that same arcane power cell was broken during the time of the murder. The dining room lights had no energy, and the room would have been pitch black. The witness couldn't have seen anything, much less a homicide. Well, wait, I can't explain. There's no need, witness. You could have easily seen another source of light. Perhaps one of the McCoys lit a candle because of the blackout. The witness clearly described the source of blue light. A candle or lantern wouldn't emit a color like that. And the witness was clearly mistaken. The witness records everything he sees in his notebook. He even remembers the exact times that each event occurred. So why would he be incorrect about such a clear and obvious detail? No. What the witness saw was clearly some form of magic. And due to the lack of power, it couldn't have been artificery. It must have been an arcane spell. That's it. What is it, witness? I must have made an incorrect assumption. Please, allow me to revise my testimony. What do you think of this, Prosecutor Steelwind? If the witness wants to revise his testimony, then I see no harm in obliging him. And you, Mr. Cuthbert? If he thinks he saw something different, then it's only fair to hear him out. You'll tear through each of his eyes no matter what he does. Witness testimony. I remember now. Yes, yesterday it was revealed that Flintheart was killed using magic. I must have seen Flintheart's daughter channeling a magic spell. The spell was called Mage Blade, am I correct? Yes, that's it. The blue clone that I saw must have been created by Mage Blade. Let me just double check. Yellow glow. So the blue light that you saw came from the defendant's magic. Mr. Cuthbert, you may proceed with your cross-examination. With pleasure. Yeah, no.
Objection!
Mr. Rudel, you don't know much about magic, do you? Of course not. Are you trying to say that I should have recognized Celeste's Mage Blade? No, I admit that you probably wouldn't know about Mage Blade. But that's exactly where your mistake was. My mistake? Mr. Rudel, if you were aware of how Mage Blade works, then you would know that the spell emits a yellow radiant glow. Which means the blue glow couldn't possibly have been Mage Blade. This is ridiculous. I'll grant you the witness clearly remembers seeing a blue glow, but what significance could such a minor detail have? It's extremely significant, Prosecutor Steelwind. If the witness did see a blue magical glow, then he witnessed another spell at the scene. Preposterous. You don't have any evidence to back up that claim. The blue light made a large impression on the witness. He wrote it down in his book, and he specifically mentioned the color. There's no way he would have been mistaken about something like that. So what did you really see, Mr. Rudel? Did you see my client at the scene casting a spell that she couldn't possibly cast? Or did you see another mage at the scene? Well... Your Honor, the defense has no right to accuse the witness like this. Let me remind you that perjury is a crime, Mr. Rudel. If you are found to have lied in your testimony, you will be prosecuted. No, wait, please. Now that is quite enough of that. Garrick Pierce, suddenly steps down from the gallery and walks to the witness stand. He's breaking every possible rule in the book, but no one in the room moves to stop him. The bailiff looks to the judge nervously. The judge narrows his eyes and carefully watches Pierce. Pierce, meanwhile, shoves the still flustered Rudolph off of the stand and begins addressing the courtroom. What is he even doing here? I will not stand by while you harass my servant. Pierce, we discussed this. There is no need for you to take the stand. And what, pray tell, did they discuss? Nonsense! I have nothing to hide. And if you had done your job properly, I wouldn't have needed to intervene. For the first time, Steelwind doesn't seem to have control over the situation. What is the meaning of this, Miss Steelwind? Who is this man? This is Garrick Pierce, Your Honor. That is Lord Garrick Pierce to you, Steelwind. I am the honorable heir to the Pierce noble house. In any case, I must apologize. I'm afraid that these misunderstandings are entirely my fault. What do you mean? You see, Rudolph wasn't the one who witnessed the crime that fateful night. It was me. I was the one who witnessed the crime. I had my driver report the body so that I could remain anonymous. What? Are you saying that you had Rudolph lie for you? I simply dictated to him what I saw and had him repeat that to law enforcement. It simply wouldn't do for a member of the nobility to appear publicly in court. Lord Pierce, regardless of your intentions, this is a very clear act of perjury. But from the look on the judge's face, you can easily tell that he won't face any actual consequences, at least not for that crime. I understand, and I will accept the consequences of them. But I would be remiss if Rudolph's shoddy testimony allowed that girl to escape her crimes. Please, let me testify as to what I saw that night. Very well. This is highly irregular, but I believe the court will benefit from hearing your testimony. However, know that this misconduct has hurt your credibility. Very well. On the night of the murder, I found myself unable to sleep, so I went on a... I'm not even doing the voice anymore. So I went on a leisurely carriage ride around Cornhaven. There we go, back to the voice. I happened to be passing the McCoy Tavern when I heard a loud commotion coming from within the building. Curious, I stopped my carriage and took a single step inside the establishment. Then I saw the scene inside. I saw the defendant stabbing that poor man twice with her sword. Garrick Pierce. He's a member of the nobility. That means he's probably a mage, right? And he's the only other mage that was there that night. Does that mean there's no doubt about it? He's the only person that could have left a trace of transmutation on the body. He has to be the mage we're looking for. Sorry, this must be a lot for you right now. Don't worry about me. Focus on taking him down. Time to cross-examine. Okay. I don't imagine I'll get very much out of him if I present anything, so... that seems like a strange way to pass the time. Not that you believe him for a second. The witness's eccentricities are beside the point. What matters is that he was clearly at the scene. I wouldn't quite put it that way. But nevertheless, I'm guessing this commotion was the argument between my client and the victim. One would concur that, yes. As we all know, both of them became quite loud during their argument. It's not unreasonable to say that the witness heard them from his carriage. Press. If he was at the tavern entrance, then that would mean he was here. Crime scene map updated. Yay. You saw the entire scene from the tavern entrance. It would be quite dark considering the lights weren't operational. Even if my client was using Mageblade at the time. Of course I'd forgotten that detail. I couldn't see what was happening, so I used my magic to illuminate the scene. You used magic at the crime scene? Yes, I remember it clearly. I conjured a blue light to illuminate the scene. The same blue light must have been what my driver saw. I thought that Rudolph didn't witness the crime at all. If I had to guess, Mr. Rudolph must have seen the light from the carriage. He must have made that detail a part of his testimony earlier. That makes a lot of sense now that you think about it. Rudolph was so sure he saw a bright blue light. It would be strange if he were lying about that. But anyways, which spell did you use to illuminate the crime scene? It was the Conjure Light spell. Color chosen by the caster. Okay. Your Honor, if the witness used magic at the crime scene, I'd like his spell compendium to be added to the court record. I see no reason to invade the witness's privacy over a trivial illumination spell. I agree. The defense would need a stronger reason to requisition the witness's spell compendium. Right, you are, Your Honor. Your wisdom is truly fitting of your station. Oh, shut up. Casting a spell seems like a pretty significant detail to forget. For you, maybe. But for a practiced mage such as myself, using magic is as natural as moving my arm. You admit that you wouldn't know what it's like to be a mage. And I guess we'll be leaving things off here because I don't have too much time left before my self-imposed half-hour time limit. Next episode, we shall continue with Garrick Pierce's riveting lies / testimony. See you.